Thank you.
Got it.
Thank you for reminding us, April. We want all our meetings to be recorded, then they are recorded and they are uploaded to YouTube. So if you don't have time to participate today, you can participate at any other time during the year or forever, I guess, until we take them off of YouTube. They will be on YouTube, and there is a link also to all our past meetings, Oceana Advisory Council meetings, and also committee meetings for the curbs, gutters, and sidewalk on our website. There is a link to them there. You could easily access them there also. So thank you, April. Next on our agenda are the guest reports. I didn't see anyone from county planning. She normally doesn't come to this meeting, or the commander or anybody else. So we will go down to presentations. Anybody with presentations? I don't think so, but just in case, I'm asking.
No.
Nope. Being none, we'll go on to the next item, and that's review and approval of minutes. Hopefully you had time to review. We're able to access my minutes and review them. So if so, could I have someone motion? Or I'll give you a couple of seconds, 30 seconds or so, to review the minutes and have someone motion to approve the minutes.
I move that the minutes be approved.
Second.
Minutes have been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes approved. Next on our agenda, we have the business items. We have new business, and we have the county referrals as our first item on here. We have 2 referral projects, and I confirmed with Brillman today, and I do see him here. So I think he could unmute himself so we could start discussion, and if we have questions for him, he could answer.
Madam Chair, would you like to, and Mr. Brillman, would you like to have any of your plans or anything displayed on the screen? If so, let me know and I'll see if I can get them up for you.
Okay, that would be great if you could put something simple like the landscape plan up. Do you have them?
I believe
Or do you want me to do it?
If you've got it, then please go ahead yourself, Aline. Let me make you a co-host, Mr. Brillman, and get you in here.
You're already being promoted, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's gonna explain to me, yeah. So let me introduce myself. I'm Fred Brillman. Just to my side is Jack Harris. And to my left is my wife, Chrissy.
Hi.
And that's 3 of the 4 owners. The 4th gentleman is going to try and make the meeting. He may not.
You are now co-host, Mr. Brillman, and you can share if you like. And
Okay.
welcome
This
to
is
you all.
this is probably my 3rd Zoom meeting in my life. So
Okay.
I have the
The landscape.
landscape plan on the memory stick and then some elevations. So how would I bring them up?
Brave new world.
So you have to bring them up out of your computer. And maybe,
Be easier, Charles, if you do it, if you have them.
yeah, let me see if I can get them.
Mhm.
It's not the easiest thing to do.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, get it.
Sent them already.
There
There
it
we go.
is.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what, can you see my screen, Mr. Brillman?
Yes, yes.
on these toggles up here, would what you're looking for be in the attachments?
Yes. Maybe a little, I have a revised version, but very similar to what we've submitted.
Okay.
You have to click on that, yeah.
You need to download it. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, let me see if I can make this bigger. Oh,
I think if you flip it on that circle there, that one, like click, click, click. So that goes all the way out there. Now flip again, no, right there. Now make it bigger. There. Yeah,
Good for you.
right.
I've done that before.
Takes a village. So let's now, I think this is pretty long here. I'm gonna have to scroll down here.
There we go.
Okay.
There's a site plan.
And is it, and you wanted to go to the landscape plan, or is this?
That's all right. This site plan
Okay,
is just a bare site plan, whereas the landscape plan is a little prettier, but that's okay. This is fine. What you're looking at is the site plan, which shows we intend to build 27 units. We only build what is allowed by our zoning. We don't delay things by requesting more units. All of the sides and the rear exceed the existing setback requirements. If you look at the bottom where your cursor is, oh, there's mine. Okay, hang on. Can you see mine? I'm moving it around.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you move your cut down, Charles,
Yeah.
just there, this side here is, that dotted line is the 5-foot setback that's required. And you can see that just this point is approximately, I think, 9 or 10 feet,
10 feet.
which is typical of what we do. We don't push it to the setbacks. We like to leave open space around. And this is typical of the units. They have a 2-car garage and they have 2 parking spaces in the front of the garage. And the garages are oversized. They're not too small that you can't open a door.
Mhm.
The rear is also, I think, nearly double the setback to the buildings. It's a 10-foot setback, and I think the setback is 15 or 20. We can,
Yeah, it's
if you move west, which is this way, you can't tell I'm pointing that way. I'm not very good at this,
That's no.
but it's fun. That's
other way.
that's east. So now the other way is north. This is west. This is not actually accurate. They're not quite west or north, but we just choose to pick that because it's mostly west and mostly north. And here you'll see, oh, we are right on the 10-foot setback on these units, but only the corner on the upper unit is at the setback. And at the bottom of the screen, the barbecue area is in that corner. The change has been that retention basin is now a barbecue area, and the retention are going to be in chambers below it. We had a meeting with the Department of Works, and the Department of Works has been extremely helpful. They've returned emails and phone calls within 24 to 48 hours. And they took a great deal amount of time after getting our submission and sat down and explained what things they needed to change so that it would speed things up. And they've been very helpful. We've made this a barbecue area to create more open space for the tenants' recreation. And the retention part of it is now in chambers under the barbecue area. It's a little more expensive, but that solves all of their concerns about the tenants having enough open space area in what they call common areas. Every unit, the space behind each unit, that's cut off to be private. There's a fence that's 6 feet between each unit so that each family can have a little private space in the back. They can have their own barbecue area. Their kids can be outside. I keep pointing at the screen. I apologize. And then in the center there, you can see in the top right corner of your screen, that's considered the playground area where we just have swings and stuff like that for children to be. So there you have it. And then you can see that it's visible to the barbecue area, so there can be parents in the barbecue area and kids in the playground area, and they're in the back for safety, security, and privacy for families that are in the back. The street side has 25-foot setback, and that's 2 retention basins, which is all landscape. There's no parking or no, I guess whatever you call it, playground or anything like that.
No
That's
recreation.
25, no recreation. These 25 feet of landscaping. The retention basins are shallow retention basins, and they'll have landscaping in them. That's about it. Like, any questions?
Yeah, go ahead, Charles.
Well, first of all, I think just personally, I think this is a very needed project in our community. We certainly need housing. One of the issues, I guess I've got 2. I know one is something that has come up in our meetings before when we've looked at that project, and I think probably other council members may speak to it as well, is a concern about is it Belridge or Belgrade Road?
Old Ridge.
Belridge, yeah. Is a relatively narrow street. When cars are parked on both sides of it, it's fairly tricky for larger cars to get through side by side, or in worst case scenario, fire engines. And so having sufficient on-site, I mean, from a practical perspective, on-site parking for residents and other things being equal, I can see technically there's 4 parking spaces for each unit if the garages aren't used for storage, which, I mean, oftentimes that's the case. Is there any parking areas dedicated for visitors or overflow parking on site? And so that's my first question, Mr. Brillman.
The driveway parking spaces are all guest parking. Our requirement as a landlord, we build to own and keep the apartments. We will require that permanent parking is in the garages. It's something that, as a landlord, unlike condominiums, these are not condominiums and they never will be. This will still remain one parcel and we'll be the landlord. We have a few strict rules. We have other properties that have pools where we have strict rules, and we'll require that that tenants park inside their garages. They'll obviously park a car on the driveway for a week or 2, but if it's permanent parking, it must be in the garage. We're aware of the congestion on Belridge. There are several older developments that have what we call 0 driveways. And that's what you're referring to, is where those places probably had the HOA documents drawn before the congestion arrived. So they're the ones that are probably parking up and down the street. We don't build anything with 0 driveways. It's we just don't do it because it just results in a headache as a landlord in the long term.
Okay, thank you. This question just came to mind. Looking at the retention basin up here in the, maybe that would be the northwest corner of the property, I'm not sure.
Northeast.
Okay, northeast, yes. So did Public Works, or did you ever consider having that a lawned area that could be a impromptu soccer field for kids, or that's sort of something that could be used recreationally?
Are we allowed to put recreation
related to that, is there a place for people to walk their dogs for their evening constitution?
There actually isn't now.
But can we make this, it's a very shallow retention basin. It's only
Yes.
2 feet.
You
We're
can.
we're
you
allowed to
can
make
use
these
it.
walkways?
Yes, you are allowed to.
All of the front setback area is going to be landscaped.
Uh-huh.
We can put intertwining footpaths through that quite easily. The only thing we can't make it is parking spaces. You know, that's what they don't allow you to do. They
Mhm.
want to have it look nice from the street. We're only allowed to have, I think, a 3-foot fence across the street side
Okay.
perimeter, and we dedicate to the city with an easement, a lifelong easement, the sidewalk and part of that front area.
To the county.
To the county.
County, yes, sorry,
Right.
thank you.
Well, I would, I appreciate your open-mindedness to think about that, given that there is, there's always a challenge to have public space in a development that of this many units. But if that was a place where people could kind of walk through and of course, I'm assuming are you allowing pets in these?
Yes, small pets.
Right, and so lots of people have dogs, and that's part of the social life of a community like this. To have a place where they could walk through, and of course maybe the little plastic bag dispenser for them to clean up after their dogs. I'm sure that would be welcomed by the folks who live there.
Yep, that's a good idea, and I think what people will probably do is walk around the island, sort of walk down one path and do the loop. So we'll have an interactive part in the middle setback, and we can put a bench in or something like that.
Okay. Those are my questions, Chair Villa.
Lucia has been waiting patiently.
Yes.
Lucia?
No. I'm waiting for my turn. I'm fine. Chair, thank you. Now, if I understand correctly, Mr. Bremen, you said that you will be the landlord, so you will not sell the units. You will charge rent.
Correct.
Thank you. And so I see here from the project description that there will be basically 26 not low-income households and 1 very low-income household for a total of 27. Yeah, this has nothing to do with you. However, I am shocked of how little the law requires. There is indeed a great need of housing, and we all know that. And it seems to me that units with 3 or 4 bedrooms, though, it's not really what we need. Units, I mean, my son is a software engineer, and my son cannot afford to rent because of how high and big housing is. So just a question to you. Why did you choose to make 3 or 4 bedrooms when it seems to me the family in our country are downsizing? I don't know a lot of people with more than a couple of kids, even the young folks. So
what we found, and we only build 4 and 3 bedroom units. What we find today is usually there are both parents working.
Yeah.
And they have a grandmother or grandfather or an uncle or an aunt that live in the dwelling as well to assist with the children. We have waiting lists on our other properties that are 3 and 4 bedroom. Our units rent usually for less than a house does. They don't have the responsibility of maintaining a yard. And our product is brand new. So we're very comfortable doing 3s and 4s. If you look at the rental statistics, there are very few 4-bedroom apartments for rent.
And you're saying there is a need for it?
Absolutely.
Sure, people don't use the rooms necessarily for bedrooms. They use rooms for other things. Yeah. So those are just comments. And why did you write very low income? It seems
That's sorry, that's a specific term in the code.
very low, not just low income, very low.
There are three terms.
There's
Moderate?
very low income, moderately low income.
Oh, and it's up to you to choose which one?
No, there is a code that specifies how many units you provide depending which level you select.
Okay, so my question is, you could have chosen just low income, but you chose a very low income. So I'm saying, why did you choose a very low income instead of low income?
The very low income, we were only required to provide one unit. If we provided low income, we had to provide, I think, 2 or 3? Three. And then moderate income, which is virtually no help at all to anyone, we provide 5. I think it's 5.
So you would provide the least minimum amount of less than high income.
Correct. It's the lowest amount. It gives the person the most help, and it's what the code asks us to do.
And what would the difference be between a rent that is very low income and a rent that is not very low income? If you can just give me an estimate, I don't want the precise number, things change.
It's a percentage of the mean income of the area. They post it every year.
Okay.
If the building existed today, the very low income would be approximately a 50% discount on average rents in the area.
Wow.
Wow.
And it would, but that doesn't mean that it will be that. It's based on a number of factors, not based on the average rental and not based on income or the average income of the area. It's based on a formula that I don't understand how it's calculated,
Okay.
But to make it simpler, the county issues a list every year.
Thank you. And I will do my own research. I don't expect you to educate me. So I would estimate that pretty much the very low income household that most probably will pay half, más o menos, of what, but a nice big chunk less.
Yes.
Well, I am disappointed that there are so very few low income, but there is one very low income. And I'm done with my comments. Thank you.
Karen, did you have a comment? Go ahead, Karen.
Yes, I'm on the board of directors of the 5 Cities Fire Authority, and I studied your plans, and then I contacted the administrative staff of 5 Cities Fire Authority, and they have seen the plans. They have not completely judged them. So this is just not really hypothetical, but they don't believe that the fire truck, that's the hook and ladder, that would be needed to get into that area to deal with the 3-story houses, because it's the only vehicle that the 5 Cities Fire Authority has that has ladders high enough, long enough to get into 3 stories, can go into that area. That 20-foot street and that curve by the playground park could not get the truck in. And we already have facing this in other apartment complexes where we cannot get the rescue vehicles in to save people if they were trapped in their residences, in their apartments. And so I'm very concerned about that.
One of the corrections that they've asked us to complete, which we got a list some time ago, which has already been completed regarding that, is the fire department asked us to provide them what's called an auto turn program. That was very difficult for us to get. We've got it. Our engineer connected it up to his CAD program, and he's finalized it already, which shows that with an adjustment to that playground area and the movement of the trash enclosure, we round the corners of that playground area and the fire truck can make that turn. The good thing about our property is the edges of the driveway do not have buildings on them. So their overhang does not does not hit a building, in other words. But we have the exact specifications provided by Bart, I don't know his last name,
Yeah,
of their fire truck, which is a large one that you've told us about.
yeah,
And we have that CAD auto tune live presentation. It's like a video game for kids.
Simulation. It's a
Simulation, thank you.
simulation.
It's like a video
Yeah.
game for kids. It shows the truck going around the corner and they give us the actual dimensions from the front axle to the rear axle. And the engineer completed that today, actually. So we'll
Okay.
provide that to them tomorrow.
yeah. Well, I was talking to Bart, so, yeah. They're still very concerned about it, even with the, you know, there's a difference between what a computer may tell you and the reality of a situation. And we have other places where we have been told that, yes, you can go through, but we can't. So we're a little gun shy, is all I'm saying. So I'm just looking at it and watching and waiting. Thank you.
April?
Oh, hey there. Okay, let me raise my hand. Hi there, my name's April Dury. I'm an Oceana resident. Hi, Mr. Billman and group that's with you. I have a few questions. I did want to clarify just for the whoever's watching or isn't aware, the 5 Cities Fire Authority, the county planning department, there will be other agencies looking at this above and beyond our expertise. So whatever the fire department finds, they will find on their own. It's not really up to the OAC to find those issues. But I do understand that they have concerns, but that will be its own process through the 5 Cities Fire Authority. So I have just a few questions and looking over the documents. I'll try to move this closer. You look like you can't hear me. There's a reference that it says there will be 26 units that have double car garages. It doesn't say 27 units. So I'm unclear as to which unit will not have a double car garage.
Charles, if you move your what's it called? The cursor up, 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 then to the left. That's it.
That's it,
That unit there on the corner,
on the very end.
if you look at it, it doesn't have a
Oh,
double.
I see. Unit 10. Okay.
It has a very large, oversized one
One.
car garage.
But it does have 2 spots for parking on the driveway.
That's correct.
Okay, so they're the only ones. They will only have 3 spots.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you for that. And then my other question is, in the documents, it mentioned ADA parking, but I don't see ADA anywhere on here. So where would the ADA accessibility be?
Okay, if we go down, Charles, sorry to have to,
That's okay. Just give me orders.
and then head towards the street,
Right there, right in the top.
go a little bit higher.
Right there.
Right in the center of the screen is 2 ADA parking.
Okay, let me, I also have it up as well. Right in the, okay, so in the whole 27 units, it's just this 2 spots on one street? It's not on the other street or road or?
That's all that's required.
Okay, I understand all that's required.
But realize that the driveways have significant side areas. So if you have a guest that has an ADA, unlike other communities, they can park right on your driveway.
Right. But if they have a van that has a lift and all those things, the spacing needed for a van to have that kind of access to offload a wheelchair, et cetera. That's what I was hoping to maybe see some of that. And I see it in that one spot. So, okay, that answers my question. I appreciate that. Will you have an on-site landlord?
Must be. State requirement is any building over 16 or above will have a state resident manager.
Okay, awesome. This is just because I may not understand the process well enough. When you get the water sewer meter out there, will each individual unit have its own bill, or will one bill come and then it's divided by the residents? Do you know that answer?
I definitely know the answer. And each resident will receive their own separate bill, but it may be by having a separate water meter, or it may be by having 3 water meters, and we have an electronic flow meter on each unit which reports to our Wi-Fi spot, and then we bill them each month for their water usage.
For their own
And-
individual use.
Yeah, now the only reason that we can't be certain yet which it'll be is because Oceana Water District will do what everyone else does. They'll give us a price for 27 individual meters plus additional meters for landscaping. And they'll give us an estimate for what they'll charge for 3 large meters, which will then be divided up. There will most likely be a separate meter for fire. So that will be after we have approved concept plans from the county, then the Oceana Water District will start having their engineer and our engineer will discuss together what is the best solution for all of us. I would love it if Oceana provided absolute separate water meters for each unit. It makes life very simple for us. And we have 2 meters, one for fire and one for landscaping. That would be wonderful.
Okay.
Unfortunately, some districts are geared to charge a lot of money per meter
Right.
so that they can make as much money as possible out of single family units, single family dwellings.
Right.
And I've expressed that to them. I said, I don't mind paying a little bit extra for separate meters for each unit, but if it's 3 times the price, then we have to go through the process of having large meters with flow meters.
Right.
Flow meters are fine. It just is an extra management
That's just
feature
that.
for us to take care of.
Well, luckily there are 2 water district members of the board right here in this meeting. So I'm sure they heard you and will take that into consideration.
Well, and I'd like to say that their staff has been very, very responsive.
Yeah.
I'm amazed. We do business in other areas, and sometimes it takes months to get a reply, email or phone call. Your staff has done so within 24 hours.
Awesome.
Yeah,
We do need this, so I'm really glad to see this project. So looking at the will serve letter from the OCSD, it states that the fees for will serve alone are $200,000. Is that the number you said you were waiting to hear from them?
The will serve letter is going to cost 200,000? No.
The letter itself says the estimated fees and charges and reimbursements of all costs related to this agreement would be $199,103.
But it doesn't say what for, right? It doesn't say whether that's separate meters or it doesn't say whether that's full large.
I don't know that it's broken out that way. So I think that's what I was asking is this just a generic will serve? And then you're going to look for something more defined down the road from them.
Yes, we have an amount in our budget that we will try to stay within, obviously.
Okay, then my last question just had to do with some landscaping. The report said that there were 58 trees, and then there were 58 trees varieties that were listed to be removed. Does the whole property only have 58 trees and and that all of them will be removed, or that you listed the 58 of X number that will be removed? That was one question.
I thought it was more than 58, but they will all be removed.
I can tell you if you go back to that document, it is, where did I see that? It's towards the beginning. Oh, it's page 7 of the total PDF that's on the county website. It's page 7.
I should have had a copy of the application.
And if you make it a little bit larger, it'll say the types of trees. And it
What do I
says
do?
number to be removed is 58.
I know that we've counted exactly how many trees there are.
He has.
So that's my question is will every tree on that property be taken out, or 58 is the total of 60 or 100, or I don't know?
No.
No. These 58 trees, if that's what it says, there are definitely that number of trees on the property.
And they will all be taken, the mature ones, everything.
No. We put on the application that we will take every one of them out. What we will try and do is to keep, it's not possible to keep every tree, But we try and keep every tree we can because they look great. I mean, imagine if we could keep all the ones on the perimeter. It would just make the place feel, because when it's brand new, it looks very sparse. You plant all these trees and they take years to grow. We plant trees on every property we own the day we have the water to do it so that it can keep growing. The problem with these trees on this property is they're huge, and they'll most probably be damaged with the grading, and that makes them unsafe. So we will try, I think along the back, on the rear, we will definitely be able to keep some, because it's not a pretty sight looking out the rear of the property. In the front, in the water retention areas, we're going to see if we can do everything possible to keep every one of those. The reason we put on the application that we count the trees and then we say we're going to remove them all is because we don't want to make a promise that we can't keep.
Okay, but your goal is to try to save as many as you can that are aesthetically pleasing, that add to the value of the property, etc.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then my last question just had to do with, when you do landscaping, will your landscaper, your landscaping contractor take into account what the gender of the trees, in that we've learned that male trees, while less messy, create more pollen, which creates more allergies for the residents. So if you take out trees and put in trees that create a lot of pollen, it kind of exacerbates and it makes worse an issue that we're trying to all deal with.
So I'll hand you over to our landscape architect.
Okay, that's the wife.
That's my wife.
I knew it.
She has a diploma, and she's very, very determined to make it look as beautiful as possible.
Awesome,
So
thank you.
I use for example, the olive tree. I'll use non-fruiting olive tree so that we don't have the mess. And I do take into account the pollen factor, but more importantly, we're looking at all either very low usage water or low usage. There are a couple of moderate usage trees in there, but it's way under the allowable water usage, so that once these plants are established, they shouldn't need any watering at all.
Okay, so drought control is pretty much
Oh,
your first concern.
I've just completed a landscape in the desert, and they're very obviously keen on drought tolerant landscaping. I've actually even tried to keep as much as native Californian landscapes as I can. It's not all native Californian, but it's 75%.
That's great, fantastic. Thank you so much. Then that leads me to the question of gray water or wastewater, purple water, whatever you want to call it. Will you be using recycled water? Will you try to put in a system that does that for irrigation?
We've tried to do that in the past.
Mhm.
It wasn't that it was more expensive. It was just very difficult. It created a delay. It cost more. We didn't find it was a city where we were at. The actual staff had no interest in it. We still did it. The inspectors weren't sure what the requirements were. It just became impossible. We would love to do it because we pay for the landscape watering. We're a landlord. We're not passing it off to an HOA.
Okay.
If we thought we could do it easily, then we would, but we haven't promised to do it. Gray water is difficult to use. It would be more practical to just store rainwater and use that. Gray water, it has to be at least a certain amount of inches under the ground at all times so that no one could happen to drink it or pets drink it. It's just a little too complicated for the value that it creates right now.
Okay, but then you are focusing more on drought resistant, which is wonderful in itself. So thank you for that.
Okay.
All right, Karen's been waiting for quite a while.
You
Go
said
ahead.
we could take as long as we needed to take to ask questions. This is our chance. So I am done, but thank you.
Yeah, you can.
I'm going to leave everyone my
I
phone
just
number.
want to
So
acknowledge.
Oh, good. That's awesome. Thank you, Mr. Billman.
I just
Okay, I just want to make a comment. I noticed that when there's a lot of questions, some people seem to think that maybe they look at me like, are you ignoring me? I'm not ignoring you.
oh, I know.
Yeah, we're all waiting our turn.
Councilmember White, it's just that we have a lot of questions, so I just wanted to say that, Karen's been waiting. I understand.
I just
I
wanted
called
to,
you Councilwoman.
I just wanted to defend the Oceana Community Service District's water department, because yes, it costs more to have individual meters, but some human being has to go every 2 months and read those meters for billing. We have to send out the billing to each of 27 units. We have to collect the funds from 27 units. And we have to maintain the meters for 27 units. So yes, it costs a lot more than a single meter. And we do single meters. There's a mobile home park that has 1 meter for way more than 27 units. I just wanted him to know and everybody in the public to know that there's a reason why it costs more. Thank you.
Does anybody else have more comments?
I would ask the gentleman who's developed that to take out every Monterey pine that's, if there is still some on that property, to get rid of all those Monterey pines. Because those are extremely hazardous. And I know there's some along that area somewhere. They fall, they burn, and they're non-native, and they take lots of water. And
Okay, I promise we will.
I would support you taking every Monterey pine that you can take out, and the pine trees on there, because they've been there for 30 years. They're not long lived, and put pretty stuff in. Thank you.
Any further comments?
I have, my hand is up.
Go ahead.
Yes, yes. I'm looking at the property now on Google Maps, and I hope this is the right one. Is 1273? Is it correct? I think.
All right, I had to plug my laptop in. Say that again.
Is it 1273? The number?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm looking at the right property. It just, and there are 4 buildings on it now. And you're just going to leave one on, I understand, because in the project description it says something about one house.
No, we get credit for one house. If you have an existing dwelling, you get credit in 2 different areas. You get credit for the square footage because you've already got X amount of square footage. In addition, when we do the water retention, we get credit for how much hard surface is already on the property. There's no reference. The existing building will eventually be torn down, and all of those structures they're all sheds of some sort.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I don't see any further hands. You can bring your hand down, Lucia.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
I appreciate everyone taking the time to hear us answer your questions. My number is 702-328-5002. It's on all the plans. That's my personal cell phone. And even if you leave a message, it sends it to me as a text as well. But I usually answer my phone, as your chairperson knows. When they call me, I answered it. And I appreciate all of the work that you all do. And I'm going to take your input about removing those trees. I think it'll be a great help to the community. We'll still be the landlord in 10 years' time. So we want it to look as good as possible and look as presentable as possible, because we want people to rent them.
And so,
Thank you. We need homes. We need housing.
thank you, Mr. Billman. And I just have some closing comments before you leave. I'd just like to say that for me, I really like the fact that you are keeping as many of the trees, because I'm a tree lover myself. The landscaping is very important. I'm glad your wife is an expert, so I know it's going to look nice. And I do want you to put a bench by that retention area, or anywhere that you think is a good place to put one. I love to, if I lived there, I would love to walk my dog and come back and just sit on the bench there and have my dog with me for 10 minutes before I go inside the home, the apartment. So the parking is what majorly concerns me. So if you can be on top of that and do whatever you need to do, sometimes you need to find people to get them to comply, unfortunately. Please do that, because I don't want to see more parking around that street that is necessary. And the way you've designed it, you thought about it, it's pretty cool that you did that. Nice garages and the parking spaces outside. But if you don't enforce, people unfortunately will abuse. So I'm glad you're going to be a landlord there, and I expect you. And I know that you will enforce. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Maybe we could open it up to the public.
Public comment.
Any public questions from the public? I see no questions from the public, so.
April may have her hand up. Does April have her hand up?
No.
No.
Oh, I just,
Okay.
these hand things.
Okay, thank you.
See anybody? Thank you, Mr. Brillman.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
you.
We froze. Next on our agenda here, we have the Sharp project. Is anybody, is the applicant here from the Sharp? I see Gary Wells, but I'm not sure who that is.
Asking him maybe.
Did you get a confirmation, Charles, that he was?
Um,
Okay, I just got a text message from someone who wanted to do public comment, and she says she's not able to. She says she doesn't know why. And that would be Bonnie Ernest.
well, I don't know who she's sending the text to.
To myself.
Okay,
I thought it was weird that she was participating and didn't have any comments, being that she lives on that street.
well, so do you have her text to message?
Yes. So what do you want me to?
Good.
Why can't I do public comment? That's just her question.
You mean the question is how she can get in the Zoom so she can make a public
No,
comment?
she's a participant. She's been participating. I don't know if you can see that.
Okay,
She is a participant, but for some reason, right now, I can't see her because Charles is sharing.
she needs to go into the reactions button.
Oh, she knows how to do all that. She's done public comment in the past. It's Bonnie.
Oh, that's Bonnie.
Yes.
Oh, and she came to do comment?
She
I'm
doesn't know
sorry,
why.
it just wasn't showing up. I don't know
Oh,
why.
there you are, Bonnie.
Yeah, it wasn't showing up. I have no idea why. I clicked with mouse, I clicked with whatever. Anyway,
Sometimes it does that to me too, but go ahead with your public comment.
I'm sorry he's not here anymore. I thought you guys all had really great questions. I sort of wanted to know, I'm very concerned about the parking, and I'm glad you followed up on that, because this street is notorious for having 2-car garages and absolutely nobody uses them for putting their cars in them. The streets are just full of cars. I'm also concerned about the access to Highway 1 or Front Street. This adds another, I don't know, 100 cars trying to get onto Front Street. But I thought the guy he's done this before. I would like to know what some of his other properties are, so I could look at what he's done before. I'm glad he's thought of the parking thing, that he will be on top of the parking, and he will have a manager on site. It sounds like the guy knows what he's doing. I'm glad we put a face to what's going on the other end of the street. And I appreciate all the questions everybody posed and asked, and you asked almost everything I thought of. So that was pretty much my comments. I don't know why I couldn't get on. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. I'm glad we answered most of your comments. Those were very good comments and questions everybody else had. Especially all the tree knowledge that some of you have. I'm learning a lot. Didn't know that, Karen, about that tree.
Yep.
Okay. So again, Sharp project. And so I don't see anyone here from the Sharp project. Charles, did you confirm with him?
You mean, did I follow up from my
Yeah.
my first call? No, I did
Yeah.
not.
No, so
He told me he would be here.
yeah.
I-
Okay.
Sent him the information on, I mean, how to get to the meeting.
Mhm. Okay, well, at least Mr. Brillin, he's showed up, very approachable, very knowledgeable, and I thought very respectful when I called him. So at least we got that project, all our questions answered. The Sharp project, should we discuss some of it? Would you like to discuss it even if we don't have the applicant?
Mhm.
Go
Yes,
ahead.
at least to kind of share what we know about it. That would be nice.
Okay, who wants to start the discussion?
You can.
Karen,
Okay.
Yeah, he's a local restaurateur. He also owns county fair carnival toffee wagons, if you know what, and the food wagons that they move to the county fairs. He owns Big Bubba's Barbecue, which is pretty famous locally at the county fairs and stuff. And he has some other restaurants. I think Big Bubba's is in Paso Robles. And he's kind of, he wants to open a restaurant down there, but he's trying to start by using some of his, like he has churros and sandwiches down there on the weekend, using it as a caterer's kitchen and using his food. They're not food trucks. They're not portable like a food truck you drive. They're larger than that, and he's using them down there. And the only thing I know he has for his food's good. And so he's hoping to establish a restaurant down there, but the economy right now doesn't really support it. So that's what he's thinking about. And he does know that there's parking problems. He's acknowledged that there is parking problems down there. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Lucia?
Yes, so well, that's what, so I understand that if they're not gonna be truck, they're being driven around, that there will be like trailers on which you put things, that there will be parking in that space. So food will be sold from there. Okay, in the meantime, while he gets the business going. Okay, well, yeah, I looked at the map. I didn't see where will his patrons park. That's the problem. All this, they need to stop and buy food, and that's where parking is very much regulated because of sweeping of the sand. So already in the morning, those parking spaces are not available. Most mornings, okay, but let's pretend that people are not going to buy this food in the morning. But those places, those are for people who want to walk on the beach. Really, we're fighting to get more parking, but he needs to have parking for his patrons. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Well, his patrons would be the same people that, I mean, the same people. If you park on the street, you park on the street, everybody
okay.
owns it. So it's not for one thing or another thing. I'm not arguing one way or the other.
You're
But
right for right now, but when he
In
has
front of, he's got parking in front of his place. There's 2 or 3 parking spots right in front of it, and his stuff is takeout. Patrons are not sitting there and eating at this time.
Okay, so but when he, and I don't know the regulation, when there will be a restaurant there, then he will need to provide parking for the people who sit in his restaurant and eat? Or he doesn't have to?
No, I doubt it, because the restaurant's already there. He's just renting, he's renting it or leasing it. He doesn't own it. but it's been a restaurant before. It started out as a restaurant,
What about his employees? Where will they park?
probably in the back.
In the back right now where the trailers will be?
Yeah,
Okay, so trailers and the employees' cars will be on his lot.
I don't know. I'm just assuming.
Yeah, those are questions.
Or they'll park down the street and walk.
I'm done, thank you.
Yeah.
Charles?
Thank you. When I talked with Mr. Spark, he was not aware that there was no parking on Pier Avenue before 9 a.m. in the morning. And he was shocked to hear that, especially since the name of his restaurant is Hash Browns, and it's a breakfast restaurant. And I told him I would 2 eggs over easy, hash browns, and whole wheat toast is my breakfast of choice, and I would look forward to eating that at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. at his restaurant, but there would be no place for me to park, most probably. And so he was very concerned about that. I also told him about our Pier Avenue task force that was very concerned with parking issues. He was excited about that. And sounds like he came into a situation he didn't know much about and is really learning in the process and trying to adjust and kind of figure out where he's at. He specifically said that he was looking forward to doing business, whether there were cars on the beach or not cars on the beach, that wasn't an issue for him. And I'm sorry he's not here. That's
April?
Yeah.
You done, Charles?
Yep.
April, go ahead.
Okay. So we did have the pleasure of listening to him at the VACO meeting, and he did explain some things, and he provided us with packets that are not on the county website, unfortunately. I was hoping that those would be here tonight. Parking is definitely an issue. I've raised it before. He was grandfathered in with 3 spots with the building the way it was current when he took over. The changes that he wants to make now make it requiring 9 spots. And they barely had 3 spots to start off with. And you cannot take into account off-street parking. That street parking. Street parking is street parking, and that is never to be used in the equation of required spaces based on occupancy or square footage, whatever the county's guidelines are. So there could be 1,000 spaces on Pier Avenue, but 0 of those could be used towards this project. As it is now, if you guys look at it, there is this construction gate-like or fencing thing kind of bifurcating that parking lot. I don't know why. So right now there's not even 3 spaces available, and the equipment that he wants to bring in, Karen was explaining that it's what you see at a state fair, etc. It's not the little push cart with churros. That's what he's only allowed to have currently, which he doesn't do. But what he wants to bring in is, if you imagine the Mid-State Fair, where you can buy corn dogs and fried Snickers and those huge trailers with a big, huge facades on the front of them, like a carnival circus look to it. That's what he wants to bring down there. That's what he owns, that he gets out into the country at these events. So that's what Pier Avenue would be reimagined as if we don't have a say. And so I would like us to have a say on something like that. Do we want a carnival Disneyland look to Pier Avenue as it starts to go through this revitalization phase? Or, I mean, what does the community want it to look like down there? So that's something I'm really concerned about, in addition to the parking. In his plans, he shows sidewalk, outdoor patio seating, but there's no space there. The only thing that's to the west of that building is the walkway to a security gate of the townhouses, or whatever you want to call them, behind them on Strand Avenue. So I don't know how we would annex public walkway section to create an outdoor patio. That's something I think that really should be addressed as well. So there, to me, there are a lot of holes in this project that just aren't ready yet. And I'm very concerned that he's already chosen to operate his business in violation of the planning department. He wasn't allowed to open yet, and yet he did anyway. I don't know if he continues to stay open since he learned about that. I don't know. I don't get down there very often. It was been so windy lately. Those are my, off the top of my head without him here, what else to discuss? I mean, those are just my main concerns moving forward, the biggest ones. And I think we have smaller ones once we know more, but I really don't think this is anywhere near ready for us to even do anything with.
I'd agree.
I agree.
I think we
Me
all
three.
agree. Go
Me
ahead,
three.
Michelle.
Me three.
So who will be, this is definitely feedback that we need to send to, well, I guess to Emmy, in terms of concerns that have been raised about this project. And so Lean as secretary, I guess that's your responsibility. I think a list of the issues, questions raised would be sufficient.
Mhm.
And April had,
Sending a list to her before our next meeting so she could know about it, and maybe she'll address some of them.
and yeah,
Maybe she can, I don't know.
You didn't get the county form that they send to the advisory committees?
Yes,
yeah,
Because that's where we used to, this group used to put the comments, like not enough parking, no streetlights, not enough parking, no streetlights.
not enough parking, no street, parking, and more parking.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always the same deal in a sense.
Okay. So are we done with discussion on this topic, on this referral?
So do we want to make a motion that we have our chair contact Emmy with a list of concerns or questions we came up with during our meeting on the Pier Avenue project?
I so move.
Okay, all in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Did we want to include a second request or discussion about the Brillman project? Is that something we want to, anything we want to bring to her at this point, or do we want to just wait and see?
I mean, I could send her some comments, our concerns, like a summary of what happened today. He kind of answered all our concerns, but
That's why I'm asking, because then Emmy will know what to, or if at all, to be prepared for anything from us at next meeting on that project.
I think my concern with the fire lanes is gonna be resolved, so I don't have to go any further on. Don't you think so? Does everybody think that's?
I think
Yeah,
the
the fire department itself will,
it'll be resolved.
yeah. And my real concern is something that is a frustration that he can get around. It's like every answer is, well, that's the bare minimum required, so that's what we're doing. And that's not against him personally, but that's the attitude from everybody. Whether it's ADA parking on Pier Avenue or it's ADA parking in a little complex. It's just second thought, not important. This is all we have to do, so this is all we're gonna do.
I'm very disappointed with just
And the low income.
one very low income, and he chose the minimum.
Right,
yeah. But that's just the way the world works, unfortunately, you know?
because it's allowed to work that way.
Because that's the rules and we need to change the rules.
That's
Because
exactly
it's
it.
allowed to work that way.
Exactly it. We gotta
Because
change
it's
the
allowed
process.
to work that way doesn't mean it has to, you have to be that way.
Exactly. He has to do
That's
with
my
human
point.
good.
That
Right.
because-
But we hear it from them all. They do the bare minimum. I mean, we
Yeah.
know that. So we need to ask them to step up some on behalf of our community. It's not like I benefit or you
We
benefit.
need to start stressing that we are a disadvantaged community and that we have a significant amount of low income more than any other area in our county. And that they need to take that in consideration and at least offer 3 units
Yes.
that are,
That would be 1/9 of their project. 1/9. That's it.
that it would be nice. It would be nice. Okay, so I'll send an email to Emmy, letting her know that he answered most of our questions. No need for her to do research or anything. And the other one on the questions that we have, since Mr. Sharp didn't show, maybe he'll show sooner or later.
I actually, excuse me, Chair, now that I think about it, you suggest, you mentioned the disadvantaged community. Maybe I would like her to do a little research and see if that really does make a difference to the number of low-income communities that he should provide.
Okay, that's a good question to ask her.
Yes.
But I'm sure there's no regulation or anything because he did the bare minimum.
Yeah.
But maybe there's some kind of incentive out there, like Charles finds grants and stuff. Maybe there's some financial incentive to help it.
You're right. You're right. And in fact, being a disadvantaged community gives investors an advantage on
Kind of maybe some kind of tax loophole, huh?
Credit, yes.
That
That's
tax
even-
loophole is an
Now
incentive
you're
to those
thinking.
type of individuals.
Does he even know about it? Did he apply for it? Does he know that he can get a discount or something? And what is he going to give in exchange?
Right.
Just ask if our status has any significance on the project.
Great comment, Lucia. Okay, we done with this topic now?
I'll just make a quick comment.
Yes.
Remember, he said that his, the low-income rental price is calculated on the economic data of the community itself.
Mhm.
So having those low median incomes or mean incomes would play into the cheaper rent. And yeah, I don't know if he knows this is an economic opportunity zone. He
Yeah,
may very well know that because he talked about a 10-year investment. He said, we'll own it 10 years from now. And 10 years is the maximum limit that you
to
can get
qualify, yeah.
tax break on. And so. that
And
would
he's
be
also
the time.
doing solar, and that's another benefit, tax benefit, is the fact that he's doing solar. He's not doing that because
He wants
for the most part,
the
it's because
environment.
the great tax credit. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I guess we're done with this topic. Can we move on?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Next item, we have the treasurer resignation, nomination, and email protocol. So can I have someone start this discussion? Or should I?
Yes.
Go
I
ahead,
would
Gia.
I would like to start this discussion by asking April to reconsider.
If we don't follow protocol, no, I won't reconsider. If it's going to be rogue decisions made that affect that position, then I won't reconsider. So no. If there was a guarantee that this scenario would not happen again, maybe, but I mean, that's not going to happen. So just no, let's move on.
Okay, let's move on. We got April's answer. Okay, so because now we have an empty seat. So now we got to fill it.
Okay. I
So that's where we
volunteer.
nominate.
I volunteer.
Go ahead.
I volunteer.
You volunteer to be
Fill
chair?
it. Yeah.
Okay. So you nominate yourself, is that what you're saying?
I guess if there's no one else, or I say, who else wants to do it? Let's hear.
Not me.
I didn't think Karen wanted to do it. You, Aline, are doing everything. Charles was, and you already, I don't know, Charles, do you want to be it? I not necessarily. I was trying to get a burden away from you.
No, I don't necessarily want it. I asked the council twice for people to step up and say they would take over the secretary position. This is the first that I've known that Lucia, you were interested.
No, me
So
too. Me too. It's I didn't think.
so this is, I guess my question is, why would you want to be secretary today? And you didn't want to be it
Treasurer.
2 weeks, treasurer.
I
And
don't
you
want to be.
didn't want to be it 2 weeks ago.
I don't want to be the secretary. What are we talking about?
Talking about treasurer.
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 He misspoke.
Oh.
Yes, I understand that. Treasurer.
Okay, well, I just thought about for 2 weeks, and I thought maybe I'm not doing enough for the council, and maybe I don't feel like maybe I remember what Cynthia said when she resigned, and and not that I have a great love for Cynthia. However, I do respect what she said, and it was, quote, because I don't have the time to give it that it deserves. And I feel the same. I feel like the council really needs a lot of work, and it deserves a lot of work. I believe that the council is a great thing to do, and I'm not giving it much. So I kind of felt like maybe I wanted to be the treasurer so that I could do something. That's all.
I would like to have, so I appreciate that, and I would certainly support you being the secretary, I mean, the treasurer. One of the presumed duties of the treasurer that has not been implemented yet is to, although there is a button on the website, but is to start the fundraising to support OAC.
Oh.
We have no income, and we need to get the fundraising thing started. Would you be willing to do that as part of your role as the treasurer?
No, I don't know how to fundraise, Charles. I'm sorry. I just thought it was about adding money, subtracting money, and keeping track of the money. I told you what I was thinking about fundraising, selling my pots, and yours that would probably sell more easily. I tried.
So you're willing to write a check once every 2 months?
Which you wouldn't have to write a check, you could just do an electronic payment.
Right.
Maybe I suppose I don't really know what the duty of the treasurers are. So why don't you tell me? So fundraising is one, writing checks. What else?
Paying bills,
Paying bills, yeah.
balancing books.
Okay.
I think like our duties of our treasurer do not specify fundraising. Fundraising is something a predicament that we're in because we're not being funded by the county as bylaw as our council supposed to be. So the fact that Lucia has no experience and doesn't fundraising and doesn't particularly want to get into fundraising, I don't think should preclude her from being the treasurer if she wants to nominate herself or someone wants to make a nomination for her to be the treasurer. I myself feel a little scared about fundraising because I'm scared to let people down. Like I didn't do a good enough job. I didn't raise enough. Fundraising can be a little intimidating for some people.
No, yeah.
Well, I think fundraising is everybody's job. I think it's a council job, and to create a campaign and get it up on Facebook and get it out in emails and all of that sort of stuff. Certainly a job of the treasurer would be to be receiving all of the checks that people send in and tracking the Venmo account, which I know nothing about managing that. I imagine that April could do some training on that. And I think also that when since the checks come in, presumably to the treasurer, that the treasurer would be the one to write a brief email thank you to the person who made a donation, and to keep track of the people who make donations. The record keeping.
Mhm. I mean, but I don't think fundraising should fall just on her, or it should be a duty of the treasurer. I think it's everyone's, because we are in this special predicament that we're in.
Yeah, well, I totally agree with
And
you.
I'm guilty of not doing enough because I just don't like, what do I do of GoFundMe? I've never really done a GoFundMe, so I would have to ask somebody to show me how to do GoFundMe. And
I
exactly,
believe the council needs to do the GoFundMe. It's not individuals,
yeah, I know the council, like, but someone has to actually do it.
right? But those
Sure.
checks will come to for the treasurer to be depositing and tracking.
Mhm. So I think she could do it, just that part. And I'm not saying, what I'm saying is I don't think she should be in charge of it's not fair to say she's gonna be treasurer and she's gonna be in charge of fundraising.
Well, I'd rather hear what Lucia thinks she should do.
I don't know, I'm not sure anymore. So,
I didn't understand.
She's not sure anymore.
I'm not sure anymore. I can definitely write numbers, add them, subtract them, write checks, balance books.
I think what Lucia's trying to say, what I hear you saying, Lucia, is that you could do the typical duties of a treasurer, but not, maybe you need some training on the Venmo and
Yeah.
you have no experience and aren't particularly
No, I've
want
never
to
been
take
I've never
the
been a
fundraising
treasurer
on.
before. No, I've never been a treasurer before. So I don't know, you guys. Anyone else stepping up? Well, then we take whatever we have, right?
So Charles, do you want to nominate yourself or do you want to nominate somebody else, or?
Yeah, I'll nominate Lucia to be the treasurer.
I second. I second.
Lucia, would you like to discuss?
No, if I can't do it, I'll resign. But
So do you want, I don't want to vote for you if you don't want it. That's, I guess, why I'm asking.
yeah, I want it.
Okay, then for taking a vote, I vote Lucia.
Okay, can we do a roll call vote?
Sure.
Sure. Councilmember Varney,
Yes.
Councilmember White,
Yes,
Councilmember Dury,
Yes, please.
Lucia.
Yeah, I'll try.
And myself, Aline. Yes.
Good.
So we have a new treasurer.
Yay.
And I think all of us need to step up on the fundraising. It's kind of, it's not going to be easy because we've never done it. But I think that's the scary part of never doing it. But I think we could raise some funds if we really put an effort into it. It's kind of sad that we have to find ourselves in this situation. It's upsetting, but I'm not going to let it get too much to me. Okay. Next, we have the, on the same topic here, I have email protocol. And the reason I have this is because I think a lot of this situation, had some kind of misinformation, miscommunication, some members not feeling included, or maybe included, but not like they wanted to be included because of our email back and forth, and some people being included in the email, CC'd and some not, purposefully or not purposely. And that just creates a lot of unnecessary, how would I say, conflict and just disagreement. So I would like to keep the emails to a very minimum for things that really need to be voted on. I just, whatever can wait to the next meeting, I'm going to do that. I think our personal opinions on when it comes to actual what you believe or think of other individuals' competencies and way of being should be left out, because it really does, it caused kind of distress for me, because I feel like, is it my fault? You know, I don't think it's anyone's fault. I just think if we keep the emails to a minimum, it would be better. I don't know what anybody else wants to contribute to this, but Charles?
So I apologize for this, but I need to go back to the secretary, to the treasurer thing again, because we need to have very specific language in the minutes in order to go to the bank to get, which Lucia will have to be there with proof of identity, and I believe it says either utility bills or health insurance bills or stuff to show that she is actually who she is. And then very importantly, and this somewhat, I guess, attaches to the issue of emails, because this issue was handled or not handled in emails, is that when will April turn over the council records that she's holding on to? And I'd like to get that
For me to answer.
record.
Go ahead.
Oh, so the moment we go to the bank and I'm off the account, I have everything. It's sitting at my front door. I'm just waiting for the process to be followed as it's supposed to be. Instead of people just making arbitrary decisions and actions on their own, the protocol is that the bank requires certain things to get me off the account. You have a debit card, Charles, so you could spend any money that you want to, you have already. So I've not held you up from doing anything at this point, but the actual documents and the file that I created, all that, they're ready. Anytime we can meet at the bank, and I'll pass those over as soon as I'm off the account.
You are off the account, and you do not have to go to the bank. And
I will go to the bank, Charles, because I will want due diligence to make sure that I'm off. That's my fiscal responsibility to myself.
Well, so we attempted to do that over a period of many.
But we didn't have the minutes in order to do that, Charles.
We didn't need that. You are off the account. You don't need to be there. Maybe that's your personal desire, but
Okay.
there's no obligation for you to be there, and there's no obligation for us to include you in it. If you want to be included when we go there, fine. But you're holding on to the documents of this council, and they're not yours to keep, April.
And I understand that, Charles, and I don't understand the pushback of why you wouldn't want me to feel comfortable that I was really off the account. I don't know why that upsets you, that I would want that safety for myself doing what I do for a living. That's not a lot to ask. And I have in no way held anything hostage or any other negatory words that you've used against me. So if we want to have this conversation, Charles, we can have this conversation. But the bottom line is, I went to the bank, and the bank specifically told me in 2 different instances that I am still on the account until they get the minutes. I will go to the bank. I have everything ready. I am not hiding. I've had conversations with Lucia about this. I've had conversations with Deline about this. So there's nothing hidden, nothing scary, weird, odd, mysterious, or malevolent as you're portraying it to be. It concerns me that you're so adamant to exclude me from something that would just give me peace of mind, Charles.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, I think at this point for the minutes, we need to, even before, I wonder if we needed to motion that we accept her resignation and we acknowledge. So that's what we need to do for the bank. That we do acknowledge that April resigned and we accept it.
And that you were appointed
Exactly.
Yes.
So we need to step back and do that first.
Okay,
So I
Okay.
motion,
I'll make a motion.
yes,
Okay.
I motion that we accept April's resignation from being the treasurer.
I second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Probably should be roll call.
Maybe roll call. Councilmember Castellanovo,
Yes,
Councilmember Varney,
Yes.
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Councilmember Dury,
Absolutely.
myself,
that's it.
absolutely, yes.
So now we have all the minutes.
So it's on the minutes, the resignation and the appointment of the next person.
And
For
just
sure.
to add real quick, the bank explained to me that the secretary, I guess that's Aline, would just need to initial or sign acknowledgement that these minutes are approved or that they are valid, I guess is the way to put it. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
When did the bank tell you that you were still on the account? How many days ago?
Charles, do we really need to do this right now?
Yeah, I'd like an
Really?
answer. I'd like an answer.
So the day that you decided to go on your own rogue and go to the bank and think that you took me off when you actually didn't. You deleted my access online, which is fine because I don't need, and you invalidated my debit card, which is fine, I never used, but you never actually got me off the account because they require the minutes. And the woman that I spoke to, her name was something like Destiny or Charity or something like that. That's her name at the bank.
Okay. thank
So
you.
if you want to go tomorrow at 10 a.m., I am more than happy to go tomorrow at 10 a.m. If you
Okay.
want to go Monday at 3, whatever you want works for
Okay.
me.
Then
Okay,
why-
let's just end this now. I think we're done with this. We're at 7 o'clock. Can I have someone motion for 15 more minutes?
I motion
So
for
moved.
15 more minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
A second, Lucia seconded.
Yes. And so let's just decide on a date right now.
Sure.
Monday high noon.
Be there, be square.
What?
I said, she was joking.
Okay, Monday, the 18th at noon.
Monday, the 18th, no, at 11:30, I have a meeting with my health insurance.
What about 10? Is 10 too soon? Because I think they open at 10.
10 will be fine.
We need an appointment.
Oh, well, that's something that you knew that we didn't. So now you tell us what we're supposed to do.
No,
We need to make an appointment at the
we
bank.
need to make an appointment, yeah.
So do
So
we just want to
Call
have
and
them
make an
when on
appointment.
Monday?
So who's gonna make the appointment?
Charles is the one in charge,
No, I'll make the appointment because I'm the new treasurer.
but they don't know
Okay.
you're the new treasurer.
No, but I can still make the appointment, right?
Okay,
I don't know.
fine.
Or
That's-
Alina, who is the chair.
Okay, what about an appointment either the Monday, Wednesday, or Thursday?
I say yes to any of those.
Okay, so
I lied. Hold on, hold on. I do have one doctor's appointment on, I don't know what day, hold on Wednesday in San Luis in the mid-afternoon. So if we could do Wednesday morning by 10, I'm
so
good with
10
that.
a.m. would work then. 10 a.m. would work for you on
Yeah,
Wednesday.
10 on Wednesday would work for me, or Monday, pretty much any time, I think.
Okay.
So even like 10 or 11 or 12 on Wednesday is fine with me.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want me to make the appointment or is Lucia making the appointment? Who's making?
No,
the-
you do, Alina, you do.
Okay, okay.
That's better. Thank you. All right.
So this next Wednesday, upcoming Wednesday, right?
Yes, sometime
Approximately,
between 10 and noon,
if it's okay with them.
At 10.
or 11 if that's all they can do.
Okay. Next on our agenda, we got Slack, Slack communication. I know I had at least one council person say that they thought Slack would be a good way, a better way to communicate. Don't know what the council thinks about this.
No, excuse me. My hand is up, Chair, and I would
Yeah,
like
it is.
that we did not decide that the most important thing to me there was in this item, which is in the email protocol. Can we vote on email, yes or no? And if, when? Because the issue came up, okay, very strongly. So
What are we voting on?
on if we vote, whatever we're voting on, is an email vote valid? Because last time we voted on something and it was a problem.
Oh, email protocol, email voting. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what we were talking about.
Yes. Mhm. Yeah. I have no problem with voting on email. This is what I thought. Okay, let's pretend I have a suggestion and we say, what do you think? Something needs to be done. Okay, let's vote on it. The moment it takes one member to say, no, I don't feel comfortable with voting this online. That's it, done. Then it cannot be voted online. We need to wait until the next meeting.
Well, if we're going to be an open above board organization, we can't be voting online. At the OCSD, if we did something like that, we'd go to jail.
Right, but I thought something trivial, like we voted for the didn't we vote for the bumper stickers or something? And somebody said, no, we can't vote online.
Or for like voting on approval of a letter that just needed some corrections. We already we approved the letter in a public meeting, and now it just needed some little revision.
Well, why would we vote again? We already voted to prove it.
Okay.
Somebody just needs to take the responsibility to make it a little better, and you can approve something on the basis of doing something with it before it goes off, but you don't have to ask everybody again. That's where we get these chains of 20 emails.
And
Spend a lot of time
very
to-
upset. All right, Charles?
Okay, I'm going to call on myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that given that we have the freedom to do what we want about this, but there's also what's, our values around this transparency thing, which I totally support. I think that following on what you said, Aline, if we're composing a letter, let's say to the Board of Supervisors on some position, and the supervisors are meeting next week, we don't have a scheduled meeting until the next month, and we want to get that letter in front of them, that's a situation where I think it's appropriate for us to put together a letter and vote to support it. I don't think there's any body that takes public comment on a letter that they're writing. Although certainly the process of coming to the decision of what to put in the letter would usually be part of a public process.
Or to send the letter.
Which I don't have a problem with that, but as long as it's, there are things that are time sensitive, and we need to get a position into a body. And I think that's an appropriate time for us to use that latitude that we have. So I would say that when there's a time sensitive manner, that it be considered for an email vote. And I absolutely do not support one person having veto power over it. If a majority of the council says that they're not comfortable doing that, then we wouldn't do it. But not just one person having veto power.
You could also have, with Zoom, you could have a special meeting in 10 minutes too.
That's true. But then we would have the thing of like, it needs to be public notice 24 hours beforehand or something
Yeah.
that, would, if somebody wants to be, I don't want to empower an individual to be, that they can just trash or disrupt process.
Well, and the truth is, this is an advisory council and they aren't bound by Brown Act or Robert's rules or anything. So
No
you
authority.
can do what you, yeah, they have no authority, so that you could, yeah, hey, you know, I'll support doing it that way if the other folks want to. I mean, I'm just being a devil's advocate here.
Well, I think it gives a safeguard. It's like that,
Yeah.
you know, if at this point, if 3 people say, no, 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 I'm not comfortable with that, then, okay, you know, that's, I'll go with that. I mean, we may miss out on being able to do something, but that's just the price we pay for people being comfortable with the process.
Yeah,
Oh.
Lucia?
Yes, because you see, the notion of a time sensitive, it's very relative. And so we cannot just say if it's time sensitive, we need to vote on it. But I do, okay, I see your point. If at least 3 members say, no, I don't feel comfortable with this, then we won't vote on email. Period.
Well, you could vote no.
Yes.
And online,
That-
you can vote yes or no. I mean,
Mhm.
you have a voice online, you have a voice here.
No, that's completely different. I don't even want to vote on this until I get my time to do a discussion and I hear comments and everything. That's what I'm saying by saying I don't want to vote. But if I vote no, I'm just saying I'm no to the suggestion. So I'll go with that, we will sound out to the council. And if there are 3 people who don't feel comfortable, then we don't vote. We'll defer it, whatever it is. We'll defer it to the next meeting or call a special meeting. At 20.
Well, and this is, don't take this the wrong way, please. But how much of what we're doing is critical. It's more critical that one member of this group gets a letter to the supervisors than it is that all of us approve it, actually, because if it's really time sensitive,
Yeah.
moving ahead is probably more important than having total agreement of everybody. I'm
I
just
agree
throwing
with
that
you.
out as an issue.
I totally hear you, Karen, and hopefully we each have common sense and realize when it is due and when it's not. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I trust that we will do the best we can.
Oh, we are.
Well, none of you proposed that the letter that Aline wrote to Bruce Gibson criticizing him be put up for review by the council. You were okay with that, right?
Excuse me?
What do you mean?
I made a comment on it, but I didn't stop it, no. I didn't
Well,
go
right.
against it.
Right. Mhm. Aline, this isn't personal.
No,
It's just an example here that, you know, Aline wrote her letter with the, you know, encouragement and of April and Lucia that, you know, and, but there was no, that never, did any of you think that, well, we should bring this to the council for discussion?
I
Pretty
didn't.
important letter going out to the one supervisor who has shown us support, being pretty critical of him. Do you think that should have been sunshined with the rest of the council?
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even know it was going to be sent. It wasn't like I knew and I approved. I just reacted to the fact that it was sent and I liked it. And and Alina didn't sign at the council. She signed Aline Villa without saying chairwoman, right? That's what I understood. It was your own thing.
Mhm.
Right.
I just shared it because I felt, okay, I'm going to share it so they could see who I am. This is Aline. This is
I
who I am.
understand your intention, and I agree. And
It was a personal
do.
email that I felt comfortable sharing,
Okay,
and
so
I'm proud of. And he may take it as criticism. I think he should take it as constructive criticism. I really like him, but
good. Mhm.
yeah, and he did, and he apologized. He was very matter of factly about it, respectful, and
Mhm.
I see what Charles is saying. I see.
Well, so here's another situation. So I'm the chair of our curb gutter sidewalk task force. We know that, I mean, the council is 100% on board with that project. I represent us with SlowCog. And let's say Slow Cog, I got a call and they said, hey, there's this like, could you give us a letter of blankety blank by Friday, 2 days away? And so I send you, I'll write to all of you and say, okay, Slow Cog has asked me for this letter. Here's the draft of it. I'd like to get your approval online. This is something we've already, a project that we're involved with. It's some piece of it in there. It isn't a new idea. It's like, hey, here's a brand new idea. Those are the sort of things that I think that business, if it's of a timely nature, could be very appropriately done online.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, yeah.
And again, it would be if 3 people say no, I think we shouldn't do that. Then I guess I couldn't do it, and I can't provide the information to Slow Cog unless, like following Karen's idea, Aline calls a meeting for in the next 2 hours for us to talk about it if we really need to do that. Is that how we really want to operate?
April
Well-
has her hand up.
No,
Go ahead,
no,
April.
keep discussing. Go ahead.
Oh,
Okay,
you're fine. 'cause
here's,
Karen wants-
I'm just contrasting this with OCSD. If that was the situation at OCSD, the manager would go ahead and write the letter, and he would, at the next meeting, present it to us because he's already been assigned to take care of that in a task force. So my question would be, do we all want to involve ourselves in everything, or is Charles in charge of the task force for curbs, gutters, and sidewalk? Do we even need to? We could tell us at the end of the month, and I wrote this letter, and I wrote this letter, and I wrote this letter. Why are we so critically concerned when it's a positive effort in what we're all driving to do?
You're right. Yeah.
You're right, Karen.
You
Why are
know,
we so critically concerned about every single thing every single council member does when we should know that we're all working towards the betterment of Oceano?
well, he's been empowered.
Yeah.
by
and
this
he's
committee
empowered
to
to
take
do
care
the
of that.
work. Yeah.
He's got the power to do it, so
Got the
why don't we
power.
trust him to take care of it? So why do we even need to know, other than he could send him email? I sent this letter to this guy because he wanted this. I took care of it for the whole committee. Done.
You're right. I mean,
Because that's what OCSD gets to do, and they have all the rules.
April?
I just wanted to circle back quickly to the letter that Aline wrote as chair. The reason that I supported that letter is because it shouldn't have had to been written in the first place. When Supervisor Gibson contacted any member of the OAC that was not our chair, that person's responsibility was to explain to them the protocol that we have a hierarchy and then we have a chair member. So that Aline had to write that letter to explain that to someone. I support that. And she did it as the chair within her responsibility. She wasn't giving direction to anybody outside of our scope, anything else. But again, I just want to say that if the person he had originally told had stuck up for Aline and highlighted her responsibility as the OAC chair, she would have never had to write a letter. That's my concern.
Well, Aline, would you like to report on the conversation when I told you about how I stood up for you and my position in it?
Well, yeah, Charles did say he did take, he owned, or how would you say, acknowledge the fact that he should have called me or, involved me also in the conversation. And I believe he apologized to me.
Yes, I did. Mhm.
Good.
Well, wonderful. But I understand why she felt the need to write a letter.
In
That's all
fact-
I'm saying.
All right, Lucia.
Yeah, and in fact, that whole issue, the nights past, it really wasn't about letters. It was about that. It was about this one, the passing over of our chair and all that. But I agree with what Karen said. Let's just try to nominate somebody and say you're in charge of that, and whatever. It's 7:17.
Yes.
Let's go.
We
Can we-
haven't even had a
And I
treasurer.
could say one other thing,
Go ahead.
we're all also politicians. And Charles had the best contact with the man that this organization was trying to get money from.
Mhm.
So you work it, you know. And I again tried to get money from Lynn Compton too.
I did not initiate the contact with Bruce Gibson.
Okay, I thought,
He contacted me.
I know
Okay.
that.
and I'll shut up. I'll shut up.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right,
but I mean, we
have
do
someone
need-
motion to adjourn.
We
So
have,
no treasurer's report. Okay, I second the motion.
I had,
Aye.
okay, I guess. I had hoped we could get into.
I know,
Yes,
lots of things, but
Right.
you know.
Yeah, we'll have a chance to pick it all up next week.
Well,
Okay,
All
good
right.
night.
thank you. Good night.